Well, it's hard to say. You keep hoping that the system will work. Thus far, Congress has been unresponsive, although with this euthanasia plan called the Obama Medical Reform, whatever it is, they've withdrawn several aspects of it. They're in retreat, there's no question. They finally realized the public's really mad and at them for presenting such a package. Hopefully the whole thing will die. And the same with cap and trade. But why, with 277 co-sponsors, is the Federal Reserve Transparency Act of 2009, H.R. 1207, why is it captured and being held prisoner in the committee with Barney Frank under the aegis of Nancy Pelosi? Yeah. And if they don't respond to the American public, there will be massive demonstrations, and who knows where that could lead.
Whatever happened to Dean Witter?
They went out of business.
I think you're like Dean Witter. When you talk, everybody listens.
Thank you very much, Tom from Ohio. That's a very kind thing to say about our guest, Bob Chapman. We'll be right back. 3-minute break. Stay tuned. This is Joyce Riley. Thank you for joining us today. Bob Chapman joins me, the editor of the Financial Times newsletter, what am I saying? The International Forecaster, theinternationalforecaster.com. Let me go to Barbara in Texas. Barbara, you're on the air with our guest, Bob Chapman. Go ahead, please.
Hi, Mr. Chapman. Hi, Joyce.
Hi there.
Thanks for taking the call. Mm-hmm. I read about an article in the Washington Post about the IMF selling gold reserves, and so I checked that out, and it looks like they're getting ready to sell 403 tons of IMF gold over the next couple of years. How do you see that affecting us?
Well, first of all, they don't have any gold. Now, those were commitments made in 1948 by nations that they would provide this gold. So the gold has to come from other nations. And ostensibly, it's to raise money to lend to bankrupt countries or countries in very tough financial shape. If they receive the 403 tons, which I would assume that they will from the members, the biggest contributor is the United States. They make up over 40%. And I wonder where that gold is going to come from because I question how much they have left. But both Russia and China have expressed desire to take down the whole thing. And they're talking about auctioning it off and deducting it from the 400 tons for next year that would normally be sold if they wanted to by central banks in Europe. And so what it amounts to is China and Russia are going to go and say, look, we want the whole thing. What's the sense of going through this rigmarole of auctioning this thing off? We'll take it off your hands. And so they're going through these motions in order to negatively affect the price of gold. And that's what's going on. And if they do auction the gold off, the Chinese will be in there with the Russians gobbling it all up. So it's not going to hit the market. And even if it did, so what? I mean, the shortfall every year is over 400 tons. Shortfall, that is, gold purchased more than production. And so if you produce 1,500 tons of gold in a year and the public wants 1,900, well, then you got to find 400 tons from someplace else, and in this case it fits. But the Chinese are going to take it down. They want to get rid of dollars.
All right. Anything else, Barbara?
Yeah, well, how does, talking about taking possession of gold and gold that doesn't exist, when we invest in an IRA gold or buy shares in gold, what sort of guarantees are out there that we'll get a return on that?
Well, if you buy shares in companies, they produce gold, or they're going to produce gold, and that is reflected in their price. And in 1930, a homestake was $30 a share. In 1936, it was $636 a share. The price of gold during that period of time doubled. So you can see there's a tremendous amount of leverage in owning gold and silver shares. As far as certificates, I wouldn't be a buyer of them. There are organizations that sell gold certificates, and they say that they have the gold on deposit, and more often than not, they don't. And so I wouldn't want to take that risk.
But, I mean, how can they get away with that fraudulent statement that we've got the gold on hand here in case you want it any time, and they don't?
Well, some of them don't, and they go to jail.
Oh, and you're out the money.
It's happened over and over and over again.
And you're out the money.
And there's a major case right now in the foreign exchange market, which I exposed over a year ago. And I can't believe it, but out of 160 people, only 105 got out of the Forex deal, and the rest of them lost all their money, $200 million.
We'll be right back after this 1 minute, 10-second break. We've got 5 more minutes with our guest today, Bob Chapman. Our guest today is Bob Chapman. We've only got him for about 5 more minutes. Bob, I want to address the Cash for Clunkers program. I got an email from Laurel who says that they just bought a different vehicle, and while talking to the dealer and from in Marceline, Missouri, told them that they had not gotten a cent from the Clunker program, and no other dealer that they've talked to has gotten one either. Do you know anything about this program? And Josh was just asking, well, then why are they out of money and they needed another $2 billion when they haven't paid out to the dealerships? Do you know anything about it?
Nothing other than the fact that I know they haven't paid. And they continue to, complain about that. And that's been going on for weeks. And I don't know where it's all going to end. I'm sure the government will pay. I don't know where the money's coming from, but that's the situation. And what they've done is they've cleared the new cars off their lots, and they're forced to destroy the turn-ins, so to speak, the clunkers.
Right. And what if
a lot of these cars are not clunkers, believe me.
No, they're not.
Years old.
And what happens?
And there's nothing on the used car lots, and they're all going out of business.
So what happens if they've destroyed all these so-called clunkers that they're supposed to be receiving money for, and they don't receive the money for it? Now they've destroyed the cars. Woo, what a deal.
Well, it's a terrible situation, but it's like everything else in government. They mess it up. And the same thing's going on over in Europe. It's reminiscent of the 1930s in Italy, Germany, and the Soviet Union. They did the same thing. It's just crass socialism.
Okay, and
it doesn't work.
Speaking of socialism, your thoughts on the alleged new health care revision program?
Well, we don't need socialized medicine. It's as simple as that. And I hope the whole plan fails. Now, we have letters from people in England and Canada saying, oh, it's great, and some of them say it's horrible. And so it all depends on what kind of thing that you have wrong with you. Mm-hmm. And operations are sometimes 6 and 8 months. People die because they can't have an operation, and they don't have the money to go to another country to have it done. And it's not a good idea. It doesn't work.
Well, my question is, where are the people that are outraged over this? Where are the insurance companies? Where are the physicians? You're not seeing them other than 1 or 2 guys, stray physicians at a town hall meeting. You don't see, there's got to be some kind of deal worked out with them. Otherwise, they would be doing what happened when we had the Clinton administration that came up with the New Deal for health care, and they were really outraged over it, and you could see it. But now you don't. It's kind of like, we really don't like the idea, but oh well.
Well, they're doing it via their lobbyists, and I'm sure that they've cut a deal. It's just like this euthanasia thing. I think it might have been a lost leader. Get that out and get rid of that concept of older people seeing a bureaucrat every 5 years to find out how they can take their own life. That's been knocked out of the process, and I call that a lost leader because that's horrible. So now people might think, well, we got rid of that. Maybe the rest of it's not so bad. This is the psychology. This is the psy war that's going on right now in Washington against the American people. You do not want that monstrosity. It'll cost 20% more a year in taxes.
That's right. And, they just announced that everybody's tax burden was paid by August 15th. And, hey, guess what? Now it's our money. What are they thinking? January through August just to pay a tax bill, and now we get September, October, November, December? What are they thinking? But they're proud of that. Hey, we just got our tax bill paid for.
Madness.
It is. Hey, thank you so much for joining us in the Power Hour today. We're left with like this, I don't know what to say kind of attitude, but thank you so much for joining us and helping us understand it.
Well, thank you, and I'll see you again soon.
You got it. We'll be back in 3 minutes.